tragedy in the skies, a crash replayed across social media, and within minutes, a flood of propaganda. As India mourns the loss of Air Force pilot Wing Commander Namansh Syal during a Tejas display at the Dubai Air Show, another battle erupted online. A coordinated attempt led by Pakistan-based networks to paint India's indigenous fighter jet program as unsafe, unreliable, and unworthy of global buyers. So today we argue, will Pakistan's propaganda blitz dent India's indigenous fighter jet ambitions, or will it backfire spectacularly? Hello and welcome. You're watching Statecraft with me, Geeta Mohan. The images were hard to watch. An Indian Air Force Tejas Mk1A performing a circular loop, one of aerobatic's most demanding maneuvers at the Dubai Air Show. The pilot completes the first loop flawlessly, but during the second, something goes wrong. Investigators now suspect the deadliest risk in exhibition flying: spatial disorientation. A fraction of a second, a loss of vertical reference, and the aircraft plunges. A fireball, a life lost. The Indian Air Force confirmed the pilot sustained fatal injuries and ordered a court of inquiry. And as India grieved, another reaction followed, not from aviation experts, but from Pakistan's propaganda ecosystem. Within minutes, Pakistani military-linked handles, networks of aviation influencers, and anonymous troll farms launched a full-spectrum narrative assault. The claim was simple: Tejas is unsafe, unreliable, and doomed in the global marketplace. But is that true? Or was this a tragedy being weaponized to derail India's fighter jet exports at a time when Tejas was entering key negotiations? Let's break it down. Let's begin with the basics. Air show crashes are not just common, they're part of aviation's century-long history. The first major air show fatality happened in 1910 when Charles Rolls, co-founder of Rolls-Royce, died after his Wright Model A broke apart during a display. Fast forward to 1988, three Italian MB339 jets collided at the Ramstein Air Base Air Show in Germany. 70 people died. In 2002 in Ukraine, a Su-27 performing a rolling dive maneuver clipped the ground and tore through spectators. 77 killed, 500 injured. The UK's Shoreham disaster in 2015 killed 11. The US Thunderbirds have lost aircraft during shows. Even this year, a Polish F-16 and an Air Marchi MB326 in South Africa crashed during air show routines. So the Pakistan narrative that crashes equal bad aircraft is not just misleading, it's absurd. Because the truth is simple: air shows push pilots and machines to the edge. And even the world's safest, most proven fighter jets have crashed during displays.
Tejas as a failure is absolute crap because it's a fantastic aircraft. It's the same aircraft. Okay, my squadron, 45 Squadron Air Force, Flying Daggers, they were the first to get the Tejas. Okay, and I think the aircraft has been doing well. I would say it's a 4 or 4.5 generation fighter. It's quite an advanced fighter. It incorporates some of the latest technologies.
Let's just take one example. The F-16 Fighting Falcon, world's most widely used fourth generation jet, over 4,600 produced, flying in nearly 30 countries. Its reputation? Impeccable. But even so, F-16s have crashed during air show rehearsals. In 2020, a Pakistan Air Force F-16 crashed during parade practice in Islamabad. In Poland, a Polish Air Force F-16C went down this August due to, you guessed it, spatial disorientation. The US Air Force Thunderbirds F-16C also crashed during an Idaho air show performance. None of these incidents questioned the F-16's reliability. Because aviation experts understand, aerobatic flying carries extreme risk, which makes Pakistan's sudden outrage over a Tejas crash not just opportunistic, but transparently political. At the heart of Pakistan's propaganda campaign is a fear, a real, tangible fear of India becoming a global defense exporter, and the Tejas is central to that story. Because in last 3 years, India has moved from a buyer to a seller, and Tejas has become a serious competitor to Chinese jets like the JF-17, Pakistan's own frontline fighter. Here's what Pakistan doesn't want global buyers to hear. Tejas has one of the best safety records among newly developed fighter jets worldwide. Let's look at the numbers. Tejas first flew in the year 2001, and in 24 years of flying history, there have been only 2 crashes. One last year in Rajasthan during recovery from exercise Bharat Shakti, and then the recent Dubai Air Show crash. That's it.
Well, the Tejas has an outstanding safety record, and in fact, until the first crash of the Tejas in 2024, it had over 10,000 hours of accident-free flying. There have been only 2 crashes of the Tejas over the last quarter century or so, and that just displays the very high safety record of this aircraft, that excellent handling, and the fact that it is one of the safest aircraft in the Indian Air Force today.
2 crashes in 24 years. Compare that to other new generation fighters. Russia's Su-57 suffered a crash in 2019, its very first serially produced unit. Pakistan's own JF-17 Thunder, co-developed with China, has had 5 crashes since its first flight in 2003. And yet, Pakistan's propaganda machinery is asking the world to believe that Tejas is unsafe. Let's look at what the Tejas program actually represents, because this is where the narrative collapses entirely. India has already ordered 220 Tejas aircraft, 2 operational squadrons, dozens flying. In 2021, India signed a 48,000 crore contract for 83 Tejas Mk1A fighters. In 2025, India doubled down with another $7.5 billion order for 97 more Mk1A jets. And India is developing the Tejas Mk2, a bigger, more advanced variant. No air force in the world would buy 220 jets of an unsafe platform. And no country would invest billions in an aircraft without supreme confidence in its performance. But why does Pakistan care? Because Tejas is entering markets where Pakistan hoped the JF-17 would dominate. Countries showing interest include Argentina, Egypt, Nigeria, and recently Brazil, even exploring a barter deal, Tejas Mk1A in exchange for Embraer C-390 transport aircraft. The Dubai crash came at a sensitive moment, just when Tejas was gaining traction in a crowded global market. A visible crash in front of international delegations became an opportunity for Pakistan to push its narrative: don't buy Indian jets. But this strategy ignores 2 critical realities. Reality 1. Buyers don't evaluate fighter jets based on airshow crashes. They analyze serviceability, maintenance cycles, mission performance, cost per flying hour, weapons integration, upgrade potential, and long-term logistics. Air shows are theatre. Defense procurement is arithmetic. Reality 2. Countries that buy fighter jets study safety records, not propaganda. And India's safety record for Tejas is not just good, it is outstanding for a young jet. Remember, 2 crashes in 24 years. A globally admired flight envelope, a strong engine in the GE F404, and a rigorous test program that rivals Western standards. If buyers rejected jets due to airshow incidents, the F-16, Su-27, Mirage 2000, and even the Hawk trainer would be off the market. They're not, because professionals know better, which is why Pakistan's narrative blitz, while loud, is unlikely to stick. But there's another layer: the geopolitical competition.
Well, it's unrealistic to assume that just one crash, it's a very public one at that, one crash cannot affect the fortunes of the LCA Tejas. It's a very dependable aircraft, it's an outstanding design, it's extremely safe, it's very reliable, for the reasons that I mentioned, that it's just had 2 crashes in the last 24 years. That is something that's unlikely to dent its export prospects, because everyone understood the circumstances of this crash at the air show. The pilot was performing a very difficult maneuver when that crash happened. It has nothing to do with the design or the handling or the characteristics of the aircraft.
Pakistan's obsession with discrediting Tejas isn't born from concern for aviation safety. It's rooted in fear. Fear of India's rising defense industrial base. Because every Tejas India sells globally is a direct blow to the Chinese-Pakistani JF-17. Every dollar earned by HAL is a dollar lost to the China-Pakistan axis. Pakistan's panic is not just about a crash, it's about losing market share, losing influence, and losing the battle of perception. And here's what truly hurts Pakistan's narrative. India's response has been calm, professional, and factual. The IAF acknowledged the tragedy. A court of inquiry is underway. There's no cover-up, no defensiveness, no theatrics. Because India knows its program stands on solid ground. Decades of engineering, testing, upgrades, and operational confidence. HAL's production line remains on track. Mk1A deliveries begin this year. Export negotiations continue. And the Indian Air Force continues expanding its fleet, the strongest endorsement possible. So why won't Pakistan's propaganda blitz succeed? Because the global defense market is not an online shouting contest. It works on data, performance, and trust. And Tejas has earned that trust through engineering, not rhetoric. The aircraft that flew at Dubai was performing one of the most dangerous maneuvers in aviation. The crash was a tragedy, but not a reflection of the jet's capability or safety. India's fighter jet program is bigger than one incident, bigger than one narrative, and much, much bigger than Pakistan's attempts to derail it.
Well, these propaganda campaigns from Pakistan are par for the course because Pakistan is trying to sell its own JF-17, which is basically a Chinese designed, developed and manufactured aircraft, which Pakistan has been trying to sell to a lot of countries in Africa and Asia. And one of the biggest competitors to the JF-17 happens to be the light combat aircraft Tejas. And it is but natural for Pakistan to try and damage the export prospects of the Tejas. But I think the government of India should just, keep calm, carry on and press on regardless of this propaganda offense.
The world knows what Pakistan is trying to do because it has done it before. When BrahMos was exported, Pakistan objected. When India launched satellites, Pakistan claimed espionage. When Agni 5 was tested, Pakistan called it destabilizing. Now that India is exporting fighter jets, Pakistan wants the world to believe they're unsafe. But neither global buyers nor aviation experts are falling for it because India's Indigenous fighter jet program is not fragile. It is maturing, expanding, and accelerating. With 300 plus Tejas jets likely to be produced by 2035, India is building not just a fighter, but a self-reliant aerospace ecosystem. In the end, Pakistan's propaganda may trend for a few days, but India's fighter jets will fly for decades. One crash cannot overshadow 24 years of performance. One tragedy cannot rewrite a proven safety record. And one propaganda blitz cannot write the reality. India has arrived as a defense manufacturing power. For Pakistan, discrediting Tejas is a strategy. For India, building Tejas is a century-long mission to own the skies, to own the technology, and to shape the future. Thank you for watching Statecraft.